It's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've got George from UDO Electronics here, who's actually from just down the road in Bristol, but we've not seen him in studio for quite some time.
It's been a while, yeah, since the Super 6.
Super 6. We have, however, seen the Super Gemini, which is what we've got here, and we were just listening to, which is the sort of your latest very impressive instrument. I mean, seeing it in a space I'm familiar with, I'm struck by just how it's a look at my synth. It's a big synth, isn't it? It's got a lot
why we
going.
made it.
No, of course.
But yeah, it is. And like we were saying earlier when we're chatting, it's just as big as it needs to be.
Quite.
Not bigger, not smaller. Has to accommodate the keyboard. I'm a big fan of left-hand controls.
Yeah, there's a lot here, isn't there?
And it's got just the amount of depth, but you see it folds in underneath to sort of less bulk, and you can lift it, and it's robust, and yeah, it's big, but it's manageable, you know?
Just wanted to let you know, if you want to see some more extra playing sections, we've got some exclusive extra video on our Patreon, which you can get to just below. So this is essentially a two synth, it's like two synthesizers combined. So you've got elements, or a lot of elements from the Super 6 initially, combined into two essentially Super 6 type synthesizers, right? Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. So anyone who's used the Super 6, it'll be very familiar. They'll sort of know the way around. It's the conventional archetypal, like analog type workflow, but in a kind of beyond analog realm with a kind of, yeah, the hybrid digital architecture and waves, and yeah, two completely independent synthesizers, or nicely linked, depending on how you play it. Basically.
And you were saying when we were chatting before that the inspiration for this is essentially when you were playing the desktop and the Super 6 together, how much fun that was. So that was kind of what drove you to this.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing the Super 6 and the desktop is such a fun way to play. Arpeggiating one side, or playing some various different chords, or filtering one up high pass, one up low pass, so they sort of coexist in the sort of sound space. It was so much fun. I thought, let's make an instrument that really just takes the most of the idea of duality. You know, it gives you the two arpeggiators, the two layers, two sets of controls, splits of keyboard, and really takes like bitimbrality seriously. Not that other people don't take it seriously, but you know, this is an instrument that's to be played as a bitimbral instrument.
I mean, you could have gone, you know, a layer A, layer B button and just had one set of controls, I suppose. But
yeah, absolutely.
The fact
Make
that we've
the
got
thing smaller.
Yeah, double up is
so much fun.
Yeah, isn't it?
You know, this isn't an extravagance. I know it seems like a lot of controls, but once you've learned it, you've learned it. And actually having the second layer is so convenient.
Yes, play a little bit more while I ask you a couple of questions, I think, because it's such a lovely. So this is a two-layer sound. Each layer, two of your FPGA generated oscillators, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Into the filter.
Yeah, analog mixer, analog high pass filter, analog low pass filter. Yeah, and analog VCAs and various little analog summing VCAs for the modulations.
I mean, in the room, this is big. But the other difference is, obviously, we've got a lot of control here, and you put a ribbon on, which is really, I mean, you know, you've got to say CS80 when you see ribbons, and this is...
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we're not the first set to have ribbons, many of them have it, but this one, we custom engineered it for this instrument, and it's incredibly subtle. And it's one of the great things about this instrument that I like. It's my hold pedal.
So it's quite, almost MPE type of bend there.
Yeah, and when you bring that in with the poly aftertouch as well, I'm not sure what layer I'm on. The sort of pitch expressions you can do.
So we got a poly aftertouch keyboard.
Yeah, that's actually poly aftertouch keyboard, which I was there using to bend. Should we just bend the top layer in this case, so we're not bending the strings? Yeah, there's just those little space between the notes. It's actually quite amazing. I mean, when I was thinking about poly aftertouch, I was honestly thinking, this is a gimmick. How the hell can you actually play poly aftertouch? It's quite hard, you have to learn it.
Yeah, there is a technique to it, I mean, but it does definitely...
But you get there in the end, and then I was like, actually, it's so expressive. And then the ribbon as well, I played around a lot to try and get it to do the right thing. So for example, it should bend what you're holding. But not what you're playing.
Right.
And also it latches, so you can bend it around. So you can really take hold of a note or a group of notes.
Oh, nice. So there's lots of performance aspects to this, isn't there? There's definitely...
Oh, it's lovely.
Oh, that's nice. That is lovely. So,
yeah.
Where are we now? I mean, this is a prototype production, but in terms of features and everything, are we ready? Are we shipping? Are we there?
This is a prototype chassis, but we're there. It's finished. The first customer should receive them very soon. So this is feature complete. Everything's in here. It's stable. We're there. Like I say, the physical instrument you're looking at, this is my personal one. I brought it because I know it and I like it, and this is the one I took to Super Booth. So they look slightly different. Production models, obviously, you won't have these scratches where I've dropped it and banged it. But yeah, we're all there.
You were talking as well about the fact that the arpeggiator and the sequencers are independent per layer as well. That must lead to some interest. Because I've played with dual layer synths where they don't quite communicate with each other, and it's quite hard to make them interact. So is that just arpeggiating the upper layer in this one?
Yeah, so we're just arpeggiating the upper layer. So this is a dual sound, so if we arpeggiate the lower layer, let's give the lower layer some different attack. Maybe change the divisors on the lower layer to slow. Straight away. So if we listen to the lower layer, maybe we slow the... So you can have two different sets of clock divisions. So I think the lower layer is on crotchets.
Right.
Let's high pass filter the upper layer. See straight away from one sound, we've gone somewhere
so you
else.
can actually have those clock. That's what I mean. So the clock is common, but the division is what you're doing.
Yeah,
right.
And what was really hard to get right, like you say with sometimes the dual layers, is getting the transport to work properly so that they're always nicely played together. So if you listen to this, turn down slightly. Or let's synchronize the delay actually, because it's slightly confusing us. They've always got to be played synchronously, so where the other one starts when you bring it in has to nicely...
It has to be ready. Right.
Has to be ready, so let's split them and make our lower one, I don't know, just 2 octaves. Okay, I think upper we've actually got 16ths. Let's have quarter note triplets. let's have. And maybe if we take that and detune it a little bit, give it a long delay, filter it. Maybe use a digital wave.
That's very different from where we started.
Yeah,
right
but
away.
we haven't moved many controls.
No, not
And-
really.
And you can lose yourself in a real kind of adventure going from one patch to the next like this. So I've got it on split mode at the moment. If I turn off the lower arpeggiator and just put those attacks up, keep the top one up, then we're back to sort of. So it bends down further than it bends up to give you that sort of kind of
Yeah, that's
kind
nice,
of
isn't
slide.
it? And you can identify all the terrible frequency nodes in the room. It's like,
Everything's shaking, but yeah. So yeah, you can have really just.
So yeah, I mean, you touched on a number of features there. Obviously, we've got the arpeggiators and the fact that they can interact. We had the oscillator bringing in a sort of off-dial waveform as well, because as well as just the regular sort of waveforms we've got in here,
Yeah.
there are also additional waves that you could load
Yeah,
in.
yeah,
And
yeah.
can you put your own in as well?
You can, yeah. I mean, we don't supply an editor to make them, but they're just 16-bit raw whavs, and people have done it. People have worked out how to do it. It's literally just a table of integers. You put anything you like in there. You literally, yeah. It's 4 kilopoints. Anyway, I won't get into specifics. It's in the manual.
Yeah, okay.
But you can put your own in, and they can be changed over. But they actually save with the sound as well. So if you put your own waves in or change the waves around, when you save the patch, the actual wave is saved with the patch.
Nice.
So we tried to make it so there are no basic limitations with recalling things or changing things around
Gotcha.
on a disc basically. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Amazing. So also we should point out that this has got layer output. So there's a mix output. There's also individual layer output, so you can access each individual sort of synth engine.
Yeah.
And a massive number of foot pedal controllers. We've got a few connected down here.
I'm going to be honest, it confuses even me. I think it's because of course you've got a sustains for upper and lower. So let's see where we are here. So I'm holding lower, and then of course I've got sustain for upper.
Oh, that's nice that you've got them individually, because quite often they're global when you on many other synths I've come across.
In dual mode, they're global. In split mode, you've got separate, and they're on a stereo pedal. Then you've got volume and expression pedals. They're not per layer. There's just one volume, one expression.
Right. You've also got another pedal there, which is delay freeze, which is a feature I really like, and you've demonstrated fantastically on a couple of things. That's also available in the Super 6.
Yeah, that's in the
right.
Super 6 now.
That was a sort of addition, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's something I was playing around with. There's something called a keyboardist called Benny Bock suggested it. Said, "Oh, it'd be really good if you could have delay freeze." And it's like, "Is it possible?" It's like, "Yeah," and it works actually really, really nicely out of the box, and it just kind of like. Keep this like, it's very easy to make ominous sounds.
Yeah, it's
and
good
then
for
of
building
course,
drones and.
Now you can kind of take control over your layer, which layer, lower layer. by taking your foot on and off, I can add a bit of something out. So if I put some resonance in there and then just add a little bit of that in there.
It's a very smooth loop as well. It's got a... The other place I've seen that is I've got a Dreadbox Hypnosis effects unit, and that's got a delay freeze, and I use that all the time, but it's got a much shorter buffer.
It's quite nice bassy, isn't it? And then, yeah, keep your foot on it. It's like, I find it's very creative, so let's take the resonance
and of course,
just play it.
That's per layer, so you could have a freeze on each delay, is that correct? If you have a stereo pedal.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So it splits on a stereo splitter, so it's one per layer, basically, or you can just have either or.
Wow,
if you've got a mono pedal, if you've only got one pedal, you just do the old one-click thing. Just pull it out one click,
and then
so the tip connects to the ring.
But I mean,
just choose it.
having the dual looping delay is a lovely addition.
Yeah, it's all about how all of these things are there to basically send you on this journey of like moving from one to the next, you know.
Well, of course, you came and played at one of our EMOBs, didn't you? Where you were, you were using. I think you had a pair of Super 6s, and you were using the looping delay to kind of just. Oh yeah, nice. It's still got a lot of there's a lot of sparkle and tinkle to the Super sound, the UDO sound.
Yeah, I think we occupy the sonic space I would call like warm and clean, right? At the same time, we can make sort of big ballsy sounds, but I think we're not on our own, but we occupy this sort of warm, clean space. You know, the rounded, tucked-in bass that you heard, that's sort of not kind of speaker rattling, but kind of is all tight and together. And that sort of, these high-end comes from really the hybrid digital architecture and the FPGAs and the sort of really high sample rates. If I make it nice and twinkly.
Not a hint of aliasing going on there.
I'm sure if you tried hard enough, you could you could get there. Let's
nice.
So let's split that now with that nice. So sort of full, isn't it?
How'd you get any work done then, George? I mean, it must be quite hard because you're exploring features and tinkering with the code, which must mean you have to have your hands on this all the time. Oh, that's nice.
When I'm putting the pressure on there, that fuzz is just bringing in some noise modulation here. So if I turn that to that one, it's the pressure bringing in.
And that's polyphonic as well, isn't it?
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so that's polyphonic. So if you want to have it poly aftertouch on both, but you don't want a wonky bass, you can just do each key, obviously, as you go.
It's very authoritative. Great authority, isn't it? Yeah.
The bendiness, the space between the pitches that this gives you with the ribbon and the poly aftertouch using to bend and express is really what sets this thing apart. And of course, you can add that to your external instruments, of course, as well, because this is a poly aftertouch source.
So you could use it as a master keyboard.
Yeah, so you can use it.
Do these all spit out CC or NRPN or?
Complete MIDI implementation, so everything is CC.
On both layers?
On both layers, 2 different channels.
Okay, I was going to say, it's a lot of parameters.
Transmit and receive edits. So we're in NRPM mode at the moment, which is like high resolution. But yeah, so that's channel 0, that's channel 1. And then depending on your settings here, for example, if I choose both, ignore the labeling, this is we've changed it in the production one, but these will transmit on both channels, or one or the other, where you've got this small area of shared controls.
Right. We were talking also before we did this that it would be kind of fun to hear what all of this on one note would sound like, because obviously you can get mono voices, you can unison them up, and you can run them as a layer. So that means we could have two a lot of voices.
We didn't even have binaural turned on there for one of the layers.
Wow.
So you want to just stack it all up? See what it
Let's
sounds
hear
like.
a big old unison mono.
All right. So you want to stick one end in unison, the other end in unison, and just see what happens. Go. Let's put the attacks on really slow, and then we don't want any high pass filter.
No, I want the room to shake. I want to hear how much the room will shake.
Okay.
I'm watching the levels because I know this might get loud.
Oh, that's actually split, so that's not both synths.
All right.
So let's put both synths on there. So that's what all of the voices and stuff sounds like on one key.
On one note, right, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, George. I hope you enjoyed that. It's not something you're going to get to hear all that often. Yeah, excellent. So, like you say, this is going to be shipping. I mean, it's kind of, it's in boxes ready to go out.
Yeah, it's in boxes ready to go out. And the guy's working hard back in our facility, not far from here. We actually had a couple of beers last night to celebrate after a lot of hard work for quite a long time. I'm extremely happy with work everyone's done on it. Basically, it's not just us. It's all of the people that we work with, and many minds have had to come together to make it. Not least all of the other instruments that have happened in the past to provide the inspiration and the mechanisms and everything, so that something is at once new and also familiar. So
yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I do remember from Superbooth, I mean, almost everybody, it was the sort of product of the show, Superbooth. So congratulations with that. Hey.
Sorry.
And one thing that people were continually saying is, I can't believe how affordable it is. I mean, it's not a cheap thing, but considering how much there is, what is your final retail on it? Where have you got to, and do you think that's going to be price-wise?
It's exactly where we started. So the first ones are 3,595, including VAT in the UK. I mean, I wouldn't describe that as affordable, but I would say
value.
You get a hell of a lot of instrument for your money on just an objective measure. There's a lot of metal, there's a lot of circuits, there's a lot of weighted poly keyboard, there's just a lot of engineering here. And it's something that should just last you a lifetime, And you're gonna have a lot of enjoyment playing it, that's for sure. So it's got, it's quite an adventure in sound when you play this thing. And it does distract you from actually doing any work. I was just watching the guys in the office. They, all the ones we've made, we had to run them through again. It's like, right, we're going to do the test process on the first few again from the beginning. And I want each person to spend a decent amount of time playing it as well. And just you watch the guys with the headphones on. It's like, they have to go through all of the patches, all of the waveforms, all of the sequences. And they're just sat there like, you're like, oh, hello.
Yeah, this is a job,
Yeah, sometimes
Excellent.
I think they have a good job.
Fantastic. George, thank you so much for showing us again. We've seen you play with this a number of times. Hopefully you'll give us a little bit of enjoyment to play out in the way that you always do. And I look forward to seeing this in stores and in the hands of people, because, that must be a great source of inspiration when you actually see people using it, right?
Oh, it's the best thing. It's the best thing about the work that we do is when you see other people like enjoying it, and you know somebody comes along, or you know you see somebody post something where they've taken one of your instruments. With the Super 6, it's great. You know, someone takes a picture of it before they come on stage or whatever, with all the audience behind. There's not many moments doing anything actually that give you any space for some pride. But yeah, those moments when you see other people take all the hard work that, you know, we've done and do something with it, yeah, it's great. I'm really looking forward to that. And a little rest.
George, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, Nick.